Today is the day I finally get to see a movie in IMAX. And this one gets to be Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. So, let's see how it is. The entrance is pretty nice. So here is my reaction seeing how big the IMAX screen is.
On this screen,
oh my god.
And beyond.
Yeah, I was pretty excited. Now we were finding our seats. I did not realize the theater was also so small as well. But anyways, we got situated and we're about to enjoy Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Here is my review on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Now, when it comes to the Mission Impossible franchise, I seriously, watched them for the first time last week. That was my first time watching the franchise. I knew the theme, but last week was my first time watching the franchise. And watching it, I was all like, this is not as good as everyone is telling me that this franchise is. It's not as good as what I thought it was gonna be. My overall rating of the entire franchise, not counting Dead Reckoning, is 4 stars. 8 out of 10. That is my review on the entire franchise of Mission Impossible right there. It's not 10 out of 10, it's not 9 out of 10, no. I find it to be 4 out of 5 stars. That's what I find it. Anyways, Here's my review for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Did it follow the same pattern as what I thought for the rest of the franchise? Well, here's everything I liked. And for starters, the action scenes. Obviously, the action scenes are amazing. The car chase, the motorcycle stunt, the train scene, those are all amazing action scenes that Tom Cruise did practically. There's even behind-the-scenes videos of Tom Cruise doing them. My mom did not believe me when I said that Tom Cruise filmed on a moving train doing action scenes, dodging poles and stuff. And then I sent her the video of behind-the-scenes. He was actually filming himself fight on a train going 60 miles per hour, a train that they built themselves to crash themselves. And that's just amazing how Tom Cruise does all this practical stunt work when he is 61 years old. And this guy does not even look like a 60-year-old anyway. We're not talking about Tom Cruise, we're talking about the action scenes. But they're all good. Amazing. Let's talk about the actors. Now, let's talk about the new characters they have in here. So for starters, we have Hayley Atwell. She's amazing in here. She is the best add in here for the movie. It's her character added in was probably one of my favorites out of through Ghost Protocol, The Dead Reckoning. She is a really good add in here. She's so enjoyable and likable, and you'll just fall in love with her character the moment she starts talking. And you will fall in love with her character. I'm glad she is in here. And then we have another Marvel character, Pom Klementieff, who plays Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy, is also in this movie, but she did have a smaller role than I was expecting because, I don't know, it just felt like she would have had a bigger role in here. But she didn't. She only had a couple lines, a couple action scenes. I felt like she would have been a bigger part of this movie, but what she is in, she does do a good job. Although, I would have been fine if she wasn't in this movie, but she still did a good job in here. That's why it's in the like section. The story in here is the most memorable out of all of them, not counting Fallout, because Fallout's just a good movie, but not going into depth because the trailer didn't say it, but reviewers are, which I am very confused about. Why are they telling you this when it wasn't in the trailer? So I won't tell you guys it, but the story here is very, memorable. You will catch on to it, and it's probably one of the Mission Impossible storylines that you will know more. when you think of Mission Impossible, when someone goes, quick, think of a Mission Impossible storyline. This will most likely be the one that pops in your head. And that's a good thing, because this story in here is very different for the Mission Impossible franchise. And I really did enjoy that. Like, now, most of you guys will probably not enjoy that, but I really enjoyed that because it's kind of a little change in the Mission Impossible franchise. And that also leads into the villain, which is basically the same thing as I just talked about. The pacing in here is really good. Now, I will go more in depth about that in a second, but it's kind of like John Wick Chapter 4 pacing. This movie is basically almost the same length, and in my opinion, it was kind of around the same pacing as that. Now, I'll get more on that in a second, so I'll just leave it off right now with a cliffhanger. Speaking of cliffhangers, obviously, this has a part 1 in the title. What else are you expecting? And this cliffhanger, unlike Across the Spider-Verse, Harry Potter, this one actually tells a complete story like Infinity War. And this ends off with like, okay, all of this stuff is still out there. But we wrapped up this story. That's what cliffhanger this is. It's one of those good cliffhangers. But on more about that, let's go on to what I didn't like about this movie. And back to the cliffhanger. They should have taken the part 1 out of the title. Now, most people like the part 1 in titles because they want to know if there's a cliffhanger or not, because most people don't like cliffhangers. Now, for me, on the other hand, every time I know there's a cliffhanger, I'm constantly trying to find it in the movie. But this time around, I knew the train scene was going to be the final fight. So I knew after that was going to be the ending. So this time was different, but if I didn't know that, I would have constantly been trying to find it, which sucks. So I wish they took the part 1 out of the title. And back to the pacing. Like I said, pacing feels like John Wick Chapter 4. It does. And John Wick Chapter 4 had its slow moments as well. And this movie follows that. I feel like there's more slow moments in this movie than John Wick Chapter 4. But at the same time, since I knew the train scene was the final fight, once we got to like a part where they're like almost there, I'm like, wow, they're already talking about that? Wow, it's been 2 hours already? So, yeah, so the movie flies by, but at the same time, there's some slow bits in here. Another thing I didn't like, all the major action scenes were in the advertising. They did every behind the scenes video for every major action scene in here. Every bit of action scene is in the trailer. Everything is in the trailer. Of course it is. So all the major action scenes are in the trailer. Don't be expecting more from that. They're also in the behind the scenes videos. Don't expect more from those either. That's basically all the action scenes. And again, this is not really with the movie, but more of IMAX itself. Since this was the first IMAX movie that I've ever been to, I kind of wish it did that open format with all the action scenes. Like the bike scene, that would have looked amazing in IMAX. Same thing with the train scene, but nope, it's just a normal ratio, but just on a bigger screen. And I kind of wish it did open up because the trailers, they looked amazing. So I kind of wish it opened up more for IMAX, but that's not really anything wrong with the movie itself. Overall, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is one of those movies that on rewatch I will like more. And this franchise as a whole, on rewatch I will like more. So maybe my opinion will change once Part 2 comes out for Dead Reckoning. But overall, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning is a good movie. Just not as good as everyone's saying it is. Like, the pacing can go slow. And the villain, I liked it, but most of you guys will not like it. It's just, but this is also the most memorable plot, so. And this is a really good action movie as well. So there's a lot of good things in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 that I really enjoyed. And there's also some stuff that I didn't enjoy as well. And then this movie kind of kept the same pattern that I've been thinking about the past Mission Impossible movies. But overall, I still do recommend Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And out of 10, I probably will give it an 8 out of 10. Because it's just a movie I will probably like more on rewatch. We'll see. If not, it will drop down. But around 8 out of 10. Maybe a low 8 out of 10. But anyways, your mission here, if you accept it or not, is to follow my letterbox called The Color Man Movie, no spaces. Comment down below your thoughts, like and subscribe. And see you guys all next time. This video will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.